Alright, let's move on to the newest SJW insanity. 6 Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published due to racist content. Dr. Seuss is not racist. These are children's books that everybody grew up with, and nothing ever happened to all of us. We're perfectly normal people, although this applies to everything SJWs call racist. Before we even begin this particular topic, I wanted to stop for a minute and explain the effects of these kinds of actions. I know I could say this in hundreds of videos about that, things that SJWs think are sexist or racist, but I'm going to say it in this one. Pretty much everything that they call sexist and racist is not. But it's also damaging. Because we keep removing everything from history, even product labels. And not only is it counterproductive, but you're literally shielding future generations from learning about these things. Like, I actually can't imagine kids growing up never reading a Dr. Seuss book because SJWs wanted them to be banned, as well as everything else that's been banned over the last 7 years. But one of the worst examples of this is those fucking labels, like, for example, Aunt Jemima on the packaging of a syrup bottle. When things like her are removed from the label, or when Uncle Ben is taken off the label of a fucking rice package, and multiple other black mascots on food packaging, when you remove the person because it's racist, the funny thing is you're actually being racist by removing it. Because I thought SJWs wanted black representation. But when you remove every black person off of a product label and only leave the white mascots, then in a couple years, SJWs will be saying, hey, why am I only seeing white people on the food labels? I'm not seeing any black people. Where's the black representation? You wanted it taken off, you fucking hypocrite. But regardless, all these things that we're calling racist that are not actually racist is just damaging kids for the future, but whatever. Let's just read. 6 Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published due to racist and insensitive imagery. The business behind the publisher catalog said in a move that will affect such titles as If I Ran the Zoo and Scrambled Egg Supper. Dr. Seuss Enterprises, which manages his publishing catalog, says it made the move to protect and preserve the author's legacy by taking away the legacy. Genius. These books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong. The business said in a statement on Tuesday. Oh boy. Ceasing sales of these books is only part of our commitment and our broader plan. Your broader plan is like every other company's plan to destroy your company. Go ahead, do the same thing that Gillette did and multiple other companies. To ensure Dr. Seuss Enterprises catalog represents and supports all communities and families. Do you not realize that most of the characters in these books aren't even fucking humans? But, okay, whatever. The books have not been banned, but the company will no longer publish new editions of them. It's the same thing as banning them, you're just using a nicer word. It's still going to remove younger generations from reading the fucking books. Unless they're passed down from parents, but that can't last forever. Dr. Seuss published nearly 60 books over his decades-long career, and many of them remain top sellers. That's because they're really good and you shouldn't ban any of them. They've been translated into dozens of languages and are sold in more than 100 countries around the world. So basically what you're saying is you admit that these are good books, you admit that people like them, and you admit that people buy them, but you're banning them because 19% of the population finds them offensive. There we go. I translated it for you. The list of affected books does not include any of his highly celebrated titles, such as Green Eggs and Ham, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, The Cat in the Hat, or The Lorax. It's funny you say Cat in the Hat because, well, just keep that in mind as we continue reading, because it's another fucking contradiction to the surprise of nobody who has a brain. It does include his very first book. His very first book. This is like banning Steamboat Willie, which Disney Plus probably wanted to do because they put a fucking label warning on Disney Plus because he smokes or chews tobacco. Oh, it's terrible. So terrible. My point is that was the very first thing Walt Disney ever made, and you want to ban his very first book, but whatever. The 6 affected titles are And to Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street. I find that really funny, by the way, a little bit of a tangent. My girlfriend's parents lived on Mulberry Street in my city, and to think I saw it, yeah, that's how I felt when I fucking visited that street. Anyway, Ellie Gott's Pool, If I Ran the Zoo, Scrambled Egg Supper, On Beyond Zebra, The Cat's Quizzer. Dr. Seuss Enterprises say it's conducted a review of his entire catalog last year over several months. Teachers, academics. We know when you say academics, you just mean gender study professors. And specialists in the field. Yeah, specialists in the field. I agree with the quotes. Contributed to the review, the company said. The changes come after years of scrutiny around Seuss's work. Academics have highlighted a Chinese character in Mulberry Street as problematic. Couple things. First of all, when you use the word problematic, I know for a fact that you're not really a professional. You're just an SJW that you're calling a professional to make yourself look more relevant, even though you're not. And 2, this is exactly what happened with Aristocrats. Or Aristocats, whatever the fuck it was called. Whatever. This is so fucking stupid. Due to him being depicted with chopsticks on a bowl of rice. Are you sure you're not literally talking about Aristocats? Unless it appeared in both. They've also pointed out that 2 African men in If I Ran the Zoo are shown wearing nothing but grass skirts. How is that racist? There is literally a Simpsons episode from season 1 where Bart and Homer are lost in the woods and they put on nothing but grass skirts to cover up. It's not fucking racist. Additionally, critics have called out potentially racist depictions in If I Ran the Circus and The Cat in the Hat. That's why I told you to keep it in mind, because they said that this is not being affected, and then they go, oh wait, never mind, it is racist. Well, let me tell you something. I don't have any of the 6 books that are listed, but I do own The Cat in the Hat. I've had this since I was a kid. I read the whole book before I recorded this video, and let me tell you something. There is absolutely nothing racist in this book. I will tell you what the book is about. The Cat in the Hat, who by the way is half white and half black, he basically breaks into the house and makes a mess of the house while these kids are in the house telling him, oh, you gotta leave. And then later on in the book, he brings in Thing 1 and Thing 2. I mean, I don't know what part of this book is racist. Is it because Thing 1 and Thing 2 look like SJWs with their blue fucking hair? I don't know. But the point is, this book is literally about him making a mess, bringing out Thing 1 and Thing 2, making more of a mess, and then leaving before the mother comes home. This book is not racist, okay? It's not racist. There's nothing racist in it. None of the poem has racist dialogue. There's no racist pictures. He's not acting racist. There's no references or even depictions of black people, or there's no sexism towards women or anybody. There's literally nothing in here. I am aware that the article did not put it in the 6 books that were banned. I get that. But even the fact that the quote says, critics have called out potentially racist depictions, even the fact that they're calling this potential shows me that this is total fucking bullshit, as you would expect. Anybody watching this video, if you're young and you haven't read it before, read this book and Dr. Seuss's other amazing books, because they are children's books, and I think they're something everybody should read. Why? Simply put, because they're works of art. These are things from many of our childhoods. These books are like 70 years old or more. They are by one of the greatest children's authors of all time, Dr. Seuss. And I think it's something that everybody needs to experience in their lives as just part of being a person. Reading Dr. Seuss books is like visiting Disneyland at least once. It's like watching The Simpsons at least once. It's like never eating chocolate. You have to have certain experiences in your life because they're just essential for growing up and being a normal person. If you're young, read the book online if you have to. And I encourage it just because SJWs hate it. And if you're older and you have kids of your own, or if you're going to have kids of your own, please read these books to your kids. Not just because they're good books, but also to give a giant middle finger to SJWs. It's fucking ridiculous, and, let's just finish the article. Dr. Seuss was the second highest paid dead celebrity in 2020, so luckily he was still selling books right up until last year, according to Forbes, with an estimated $33 million in earnings before taxes. Only Michael Jackson's Empire earned more. Well, it's nice to know, and to end this video off by saying that Michael Jackson out-earned even Dr. Seuss as late as 2020.